This is Judith Lay welcoming you to Manx Radio and to the podcast of this week's edition of At Your Service.
Manx Radio!
Money, the pressure to pay bills, the consequences of debt, the constant worry of trying to make income stretch to cover expenses puts an immense strain on relationships and on mental and often physical health. This morning, my special guest is someone holding out a helping hand to anyone with money worries. She's Debbie White, and she is the Area Debt Advice Co-Ordinator working in the Salvation Army headquarters in Ballacottier Crescent on the Isle of Man Business Park in Braddan. Debbie is Welsh and passionate about music, so you can be sure that alongside some great advice, there'll be some equally great music. But first, let's meet Debbie. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Debbie, the debt advice that you and your team give through the Salvation Army is offered to people of all faiths and none. But I know that it is your own personal, deeply held Christian faith that is the driving force for this and other jobs that you've done over the years. So, did you grow up in a faith-filled household?
Oh, absolutely. I'm Welsh. My grandfather used to go to Welsh Chapel. My family, very much a farming community. But my mum went to the Salvation Army as a youngster. She met my dad, who was studying in Cardiff. They were worshipping at the Salvation Army. They became Salvation Army officers. The Salvation Army officer is somebody who leads the church. So they became ministers of religion. So me and my sister had an opportunity as an 8 and 10-year-old to go to the Salvation Army Training College in Denmark Hill because they were studying the Bible, and obviously it was residential, so we were there as children.
Debbie White, touching into her Salvation Army roots with her first music choice, the International Staff Songsters of the Salvation Army, and They Need You, They Need Me, They Need Christ.
This song is quite old. John Gowans and John Larson, they are no longer with us. They have passed away. And the world was different when they wrote that, but the sentiment's still there. We're not judging those people, but those people need Christ. As a Christian, I worshipped at the Salvation Army until probably my 30s, when I actually was working for Spring Harvest. Spring Harvest is an organisation who runs a conference at Easter time. At the time that I was working for them, we had 80,000 people coming to that event over a 4-week period. But that meant that actually I was away from home for a month, and that's quite hard on your relationships. But one of the great things about working for Spring Harvest is the strapline of the organisation was equipping the local church for action. And that really spoke to me as an employee. And I was like, how many churches do I go past to get to the Salvation Army? And so it actually meant that I decided to change what I was doing and went to my local C of E church in Crowborough in East Sussex, because I was going past all these churches to get to the Salvation Army. I mean, that's not local. It's a 15-minute drive to go to the Salvation Army. So I actually attended the local church and engaged with the local activities there and had loads of opportunities to worship and to serve that community.
It doesn't surprise me that you say that you're Welsh, because music is very important to you, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. I've been singing since I was a youngster, and my dad's got the gift of song. It's in my bones. It's how I get close to God.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You will lead me through the fire, and in darkest night you were close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God, yeah. And all my life you have been faithful.
That's Bethel music and the goodness of God. So, Debbie, now we've got a little bit of background, let's concentrate on the work that you're doing with the Salvation Army.
I lead the team here of debt advisors at the Salvation Army.
Well, you've got absolutely the right personality for this, Debbie, because you're easy to talk to, you're very friendly, you know, you instantly put people at their ease.
But it's got a bit of a backstory as well. Before I got the job, I took a bit of time out for my own mental health, wasn't sure where I was going, and decided to just do a few things that were a little bit different. And part of that was actually coming and doing some volunteering for the Salvation Army in their nursery. I've never worked in a place where I've been so welcomed. Little ones love you when you come back every day, and it was beautiful to be part of actually helping them at a time where they were in a bit of crisis. It was before COVID, but actually during that time I got the opportunity to apply for the role at the Salvation Army leading the debt advice team. We're a small team, but we first and foremost love people. We love people irrespective of who they are, what they've done, because of, by the grace of God, go I, you know, but it could be me that sat the other side of the table just because there's a different set of circumstances. So the debt advice team do sit under the words in Matthew 25, verses 35 to 37. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. And I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. And I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or need clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick, or go to prison, or visit you? And the king will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of my brothers, you did for me. And I think that's really the key verse that the Salvation Army Debt Advice Service sits under, and we support those who are really struggling. The Debt Advice Service actually launched into the prison and the probation service because actually there's all sorts of reasons why people are in financial difficulties, and when you go into prison it might not be something that you expected and you've got a lot of debt on the outside, so actually helping people's mental health is really important. So the guys in the prison can ring us and set up the phone line to us direct, so they don't need to get any prison officers involved in having the conversation. And so we help people to appropriately respond and correspond with the creditors on their behalf. Obviously, we work with the probation service as well. So we have the probation guys from Tremode House. They come and bring their clients to us as well, trying to help people as they're coming out and getting their foot back into community.
So, Debbie, do people always have to be referred to you through an agency, or can anyone just contact you direct?
We are open to everyone, so you can self-refer into us. So if you've got a family member that you know struggling, and we often have parents that are ringing in and saying, my child's struggling, or we've got friends and family. But we also engage with social services team, other charities, lots of agencies. So before we launched the centre in September 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, we remember what that was like. It was very difficult. Before we were locked down, we engaged with all of those agencies who know who we are now and regularly refer their clients, because as they work holistically with them, they refer to us and they know that we go at the speed of the client. We're not going to rush ahead if somebody's not quite ready yet. And it might be setting aside some dreams and hopes that there's someone had, or they might have had a business that they were like, I'm going to definitely win at this, but there's debts stacking up left, right and centre. Sometimes helping someone to really deal with the trauma of that, of actually losing their hopes and dreams and their money behind of that, what they've put into their business, and helping someone go through that trauma, helping them to understand their responses to that. It's almost like a bereavement when you've got hopes and dreams that are lost.
There's often a lot of shame and embarrassment. People feel guilty, and you get to a point where you can't open your mail because you're worried about what's going to be in the post. Sometimes we're not always ready to tell the whole story.
Absolutely. We do see clients who come to their first appointment with no paperwork, because that is that response to trauma. So our team's done a lot of training on the trauma area to help us understand and respond appropriately to trauma issues. We're all human and we're adults, and then suddenly we've got a financial problem and we feel that we should be able to cope with this. You know, we're adults, and how come I'm not being a good adult? You know, rents have gone through the roof. Cost of living crisis is hitting everyone. COVID impact, so we have no more resources because we used that during COVID when people weren't working. So there's no judgment in that area. In fact, if you come into our centre, you'll see on the wall a statement by Maya Angelou. And the statement says, people will forget what you've done for them and what you've said, but they will never forget how we made them feel. And so we actually make people read that before we start a session, to say, actually, if we didn't make you feel visible, loved, looked at and resourced, then we've not done our job properly. If we've let you go out of here feeling judged, that is not what our team's about. We are here to love you, to care for you, to walk alongside you as long as you need us for. And we're going to empower you, and we're going to give you the skills. And one of the things that we do through that is we also have our budget course. Budgeting actually helps us to understand our own behaviours. Mental health is one of the big things, and if somebody's got something like bipolar, you can have the highs and lows, and there can be times when you are spending when you shouldn't be, and and then when you come out of that high, suddenly you realise how much you have spent. But actually the budget course can help talk about what your drivers are, what your hopes and dreams are. If your hopes and dream is to just get a budget that balances, that's great, because actually that reduces anxiety. But if your hopes and dreams are to buy a laptop, then how are you going to save for that, And actually we talk about how to borrow safely, how much it costs.
So these budgeting courses, open to everybody?
Open to anyone. Our next one is planned for March the 4th. It's actually 3 sessions on a Tuesday. We have it on the 4th, the 11th and 18th of March, starting at 10:30 until 1 o'clock. We have comfort breaks because we do know that, you get a little bit overwhelmed. So to alleviate that, we tend to have a bacon bap first thing at 10 o'clock. So come along, Judith, come and join us. We have a bacon bap, cup of tea, or if you can't have bacon, we'll do something different for you. And that's every session. We'll start with a bacon bap. Our team march on their stomach. And it's important because some people are running around getting children to school and they haven't fed themselves. And how can you feed the brain if the stomach's not been fed?
And this is all at the Salvation Army, lovely new headquarters on Ballacottier Crescent, Braddan at the Business Park. Very easy to find.
And we also got a bus stop right at the edge as well. So if you come in, I think it generally gets to us around about past and on the hour. So the perfect timing for when you come for your bacon bap. I was just doing some statistics before I came in here, and so many of our clients have negative budgets. So if you're listening today and you've got a negative budget, you are not alone. There's a lot of people out there who just cannot pay the bills. It's an expensive place to be, and particularly if you're a single parent. Childcare is expensive, food is expensive, and you've only got the one income. Please don't judge yourself. We're all really good at hitting ourselves and keeping ourselves down. But it might be that you need to look at how you do things, income maximising and minimising expenditure. That's what we do day to day in the centre. And when I talk to clients, I often use a lot of analogies because that's how I work. And I often say, when you're in that situation and you're on the bottom of that pit where it's really dark, it's really not a nice place to be, and you look up at the top of the pit, and you can't see anything, it's dark. But actually, when you ask someone like ourselves to come in, suddenly you can see there's a few clouds and there's a bit more light. And then eventually someone's just thrown a ladder down and we shine a light on the bottom rung and we say, step on that bottom rung and try and pull yourself up. And you know what? When you come out the top, there's a great party to be had, because when somebody's actually debt-free or a plan in place, or they say, I can go it alone now, we have a great party to celebrate that. So it's a really good place to be. So do get in touch with us.
I just want to speak the name of Jesus over every heart and every mind, 'cause I know there is peace within your presence. I speak Jesus. I just want to speak the name of Jesus till every dark addiction starts to break, declaring there is hope and there is freedom. I speak Jesus. Your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, burn like a fire.
That's a really modern song from when I worked at Spring Harvest. And so in that song it says, I just want to speak the name of Jesus over fear and all anxiety. To every soul held captive by depression, I speak Jesus. Jesus in the darkness over every enemy. Jesus for my family, I speak the holy name. Jesus. Your name is power, your name is healing, and your name is life. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, burn like a fire. I just want to speak the name of Jesus over every heart and every mind, because I know there's peace in your presence. I speak Jesus.
Debbie, you offer debt counselling to anybody who needs
Absolutely.
it. Do you find that in the course of the conversation, people are interested in your Christian faith?
Yeah, why do you do this job? Dealing with all my problems. We don't judge, and to be part of our team, you don't need to be a Christian. But we do get that opportunity to talk about our faith, and we all have that God-shaped hole, whether we acknowledge it's God-shaped or not. Within my makeup, there's a hole that's actually his unique shape. Anyone who knows me will know I love crochet and craft. My hands are always busy and I love doing that, and it gives me that respite, it gives me centering and all that sort of thing. And there are things that we could look to which are of the world that will center us, but they're never going to fulfill us fully because they're not Jesus. They're not Jesus shaped. They're not God shaped. The Holy Spirit is not part of it.
Be still for the presence of the Lord, the Holy One is here. Come bow before Him now with reverence and
Be Still for the Presence of the Lord, sung there by St. Philip's Boys Choir, from their collection Angel Voices. And that, Debbie, goes back to your early working life in London, doesn't it?
If you remember the days of the CD player, I used to plug myself in as a 20-something and listen to that on the way to London on the train. The final bit on the song, "Be still for the power of the Lord is moving in this place." Even when we don't see him, he's moving. He comes to cleanse and heal, to minister his grace. No work too hard for him. In faith, receive from him. Be still for the power of the Lord is moving in this place. To make sure I've got God's words in my head are really important.
So here we are, you're running the debt counselling service. Obviously, you're open to any clients, but are you looking for more volunteers, Debbie?
Yes, because we've actually recently grown and we managed to get some funding for a full-time member of staff from a trust fund for the next 3 years. So we need more volunteers because when we go into the community, we do need safeguarding. So firstly, the client, safeguarding from us to make sure that they're happy and feel comfortable, but also anything that's said in that space, that actually there's a witness to what's being said. And so that's really really important. So we are keen to grow the team. Again, we don't have to be of faith. You just need to be somebody who loves people. You don't have to be a whiz kid regards to finances. Our team is made up of all sorts of people, all sorts of ages. But when we go into people's homes, we definitely need that +1 to make sure that everyone's safe. So if you do have some time that you can commit regularly, do get in touch with us. Plus also we've got our budget courses. So we always need volunteers to help that one-on-one. So if you fancy doing that, do come and talk to us about that as well.
Thank you to my special guest today, Debbie White, who is the Area Debt Advice Co-Ordinator working in the Salvation Army headquarters in Ballacottier Crescent on the Isle of Man Business Park in Braddan. And Debbie's phone number is 675 702. 675 702. And Debbie and her team would love to hear from you if you would like to help as a volunteer or if the service can help you in managing a debt problem. And now let's see what's on this week's notice board. And we begin in the Cathedral in Peel, where there are 2 special events today inspired by the Museum of the Moon, the art installation in the cathedral. This afternoon at 3:30, there'll be a special St Valentine's choral evensong. This is a relaxed celebration of all loving friendships, and it'll be followed by cream teas. No need to book, just come along with a warm welcome for everyone. Then this evening, also in the cathedral, at 7 o'clock, the cathedral choir will sing the music of Thomas Tallis, Under the Moon, including the beautiful Lamentations. Again, it's free admission, and the Museum of the Moon looks particularly beautiful when viewed after sunset. This evening, there's another bilingual Manx English service celebrating the coming of spring and reflecting on St Bridget and the theme of hospitality. The bilingual service this evening will be in Ballabeg Methodist Chapel. It'll start at 6:30 and will be led by Reverend Dr Janet Corlett. The service will include music and poetry from Krista McCartney and Annie Kissack and friends, and will be followed by refreshments, which will include the traditional bread and cheese, but sadly no ale. Everyone will be made most welcome. The next simple lunch at the Cool Chapel Hall will be on Thursday the 20th from noon until 2 o'clock. Homemade soups, bread and cheese and desserts will be served in the Cool Hall for a suggested donation of just £7. Good food and great fellowship. As there may be traffic lights at the crossroads this week, motorists are asked to please park on the Braddan Road. Also on Thursday the 20th, back under the moon in the Cathedral in Peel, Bishop Tricia and Canon John Mann will be reflecting together on the theme Walking in the Darkness and Towards the Light. It's on Thursday evening at 7:15. Admission is free and all are welcome to what promises to be an inspiring and uplifting evening. And looking ahead to next Sunday, the 23rd, Bagarrow Chapel on the main road, just outside Kirkmichael, invite you to an animal blessing service. It's next Sunday at 2:30, and all creatures great and small, and their owners, will be made very welcome. The preacher will be Reverend Brian Yardy. Then it's back to the cathedral next Sunday evening for Luke Under the Moon, Reverend Alex Brown's one-man presentation of the Gospel according to St Luke. Again, it's free admission, but numbers do need to be limited, so claim your free tickets via eventbrite.com. Just search for Luke Under the Moon, and the evening in the cathedral next Sunday night starts at 7:30. And that's all we have time for now, but I'll be back tonight at 9, waiting to open the door to our virtual lounge and welcome you in for a mix of all kinds of music, plus your requests and dedications. And I'd love you to join me if you can. And so, until whenever we meet again, this is Judith saying thank you for listening, and I wish you and those you love a safe, happy and peaceful week, and a very good morning.
Station, Manx Radio.